How's it going, everybody? Merry Christmas to those of you who actually celebrate Christmas. For me, every single day is a holiday, and every single day is a reason to celebrate. For me, at least. And I definitely do mean that. Fuck. My camera's going crazy right now. Alright, anyway. I don't know what the fuck my camera's doing right now. But I just want to make this video to remind everybody the importance of creating space for your mind to wander. Okay, so a lot of people they have problems with creativity, or they have depression, or depression is deeper than this, but they complain about mental issues of various kinds and really just lacking creative energy, lacking enthusiasm. Lacking inspiration, right? That's a better path to follow in this video. People lack positive energy and positive influence inside of their mind, inside of their mental home, right? Well, something that I've noticed very significantly, I've noticed that the people who are the most distracted tend to complain about this the most. Or the people that are the most distracted tend to lack this mental energy the most. And, some people just don't care. But most people do. And no matter what, your life would be significantly better if you learned how to harness this positive energy within your mind. And so it's extremely important to allow space in your head. And what I mean is, see, a lot of people, they create space in their mind by meditating. And meditating can mean many different things, but essentially removing any kind of external stimuli or stimulus. Any kind of external stimulus. That means removing books, removing phones, removing internet, removing TV, any kind of external stimulation, right? Even just for a small amount of time, on a frequent basis, every single day. Okay, so laying down and just relaxing. So watching TV is not relaxing. Watching Netflix is not relaxing. Not in this way. It's a level of relaxation. It's focusing on something leisure rather than work, but it's not allowing your brain to actually come to a full stop. And what a lot of people fail to realize is you don't need external stimulation for entertainment, because the mind actually creates entertainment on its own when it is at rest. And so a lot of people miss the energy they had when they were a child. They miss the creativity they had when they were a child, the imagination they had when they were a child. Well, let me tell you the main difference between children and adults. Or, well, not really anymore, but I'll tell you the main difference between me as a child and me as an adult. Is that when I was a child, I was able to create entertainment from virtually out of nowhere. Basically, like when my mom would put me in timeout, I would sit there and I would cry and complain about being in timeout, and I'd have these negative things to get angry at. But after about 15 minutes of being by myself with no TV or anything like that in a room, I got bored of being angry. And this actually happens when you stop distracting yourself from your problems, when you remove all this bullshit, all the stimulus, where you remove all this entertainment that you use to distract yourself from your negativity. You will reach a point where you feel bored of being angry in the first place, or you're bored of complaining. It's a badass thing that I've noticed. When I was a child, this happened. And when you get bored of the negative thoughts, being alone with your thoughts is no longer scary. And then what happens is your mind starts to wander into different areas. It'll start to solve its own problems. All these problems that you've had for years that you never took care of will begin to unravel themselves in your mind. and they'll become a lot easier, and you can deal with them with much more clarity. And you'll reach a point where you have no more problems to fix, or even if you do, they're so easy. Your brain starts to think of more positive thoughts, and not positive thoughts in a traditional sense, but more creative thoughts, thoughts that inspire action. And I notice the more I am engaged, the more I mindlessly scroll through social media, the more I mindlessly autopilot myself through the internet or through YouTube or whatever it is, the less and less satisfied I feel. But and it's hard because it's addictive. It is an addiction. It's an empty void that can never be filled. And the more you try to fill it, the more empty it feels. When you remove that shit, and look, you don't have to do this like all day. You don't have to be a monk. Just set aside 1 hour every single day where you can literally just deload your brain from information. And you just lay down. It's a fast. You're fasting from stimulation for 1 hour. That's a long time for most people. Because anytime they have idle time, they just mindlessly scroll through the internet. I see it with my clients. I see it with a lot of people. So all you got to do, and I see it with myself, all you got to do is significantly reduce the amount of time that you spend on your phone, on the internet, or even reading books, and significantly begin to increase in small amounts of time where you just let that go. Now, for most people, it's going to take a lot of changing of habits. But this is number one for life transformation, because you'll begin to be able to see who you are. How the fuck are you ever going to know who you are, what you enjoy in life, if you're constantly focused on something, some kind of stimulus, like whatever it is? You've never sat down with yourself. How the fuck do you know who you are, or who you are at the moment, what your thoughts are? So many people have these mental problems, but the one thing that would cause the most transformation they don't do, which is just sit with their thoughts. They're so scared of their problems, but they don't realize that their problems are only so large because they're running away from them, because they're scared of their problems in the first place. As soon as you just sit there with your thoughts, allow the silence, allow yourself to be bored, everything begins to change. But you have to do it on a consistent basis, and it has to be for an hour or so a day. This is also going to allow your dopamine receptors to reset, because dopamine makes you chase after rewards, and television, video games, books, writing on a piece of paper, all these things, they're dopamine. They're dopamine rewards, and the more wrapped up you are, the more of these dopamine engaging behaviors that you participate in, the less and less these activities are going to benefit you. And so it's extremely important to deload your brain from all this information, from all this stimulus, because overstimulation is a main reason why anxiety, depression, and mental illness has been on the rise over the past 30 years. The other reason is because we actually are getting better at diagnosing these issues. The other reason is that our diet has been significantly declining over the last 50, 60 years. More and more people are eating processed junk. More people are eating more carbohydrates, and more people are scared of animal proteins. And so, of course, they're going to feel empty, and they're going to have to fill the emptiness with all this bullshit. They're eating empty carbs, empty food, empty foods. They're living an empty life. They're living for other people. They're living a life of emptiness. It's very obvious. And they're trying to fill this emptiness with everything except for the things that would solve their problem. Fill the emptiness with more empty mindedness. Fill the emptiness with more whole foods, and primarily animal proteins. But you can eat whole grains if you're fine with them and you don't have any problems. But most people get problems from whole grains. But whole animal proteins should be number one. Anyway, leave your questions, comments down below, and I'll talk to you in the next video.